Okay, so we're here in Sarasota with my friend Alex.
How are you?
And we are here to take a look at his front yard garden here. And a lot of times in Florida, you have a house and you don't get an acre with the house, but you do get a good amount of planting space. And so Alex has maximized his planting areas with palms. And so Alex, if you want to give us a little idea here, when did you start planting in this garden, and when did you get the house? When did you start planting in the garden?
So I actually started planting in 2014.
Okay.
A little after I bought the house. I've had this house for 3 years. So the Canthiopsis oliviformis were the first palms to go in. They were about 15 foot tall when I got them.
Okay. So
it took a little bit of time to adjust, and you can see that one adjusted a little quicker than the other. And I actually have a third one over there. So I have 3 that I got for this yard. So they were the first palms to go in. And then I also have, I'm going to show you, this palm is the only palm in the front yard that I moved from the previous yard.
Yeah, because you have lived in this neighborhood, but in a different house. So I just wanted to note that. So you moved some of your plants over here because you didn't want to leave them. Palm collectors, we like to keep our palms. We don't like to leave them behind.
Absolutely. I left some behind, unfortunately, but then I moved some to other places. But this is Liquala peltata, a variety Sumalongi. And you can see right now it's a little damaged by the drought that we had.
Yeah, we definitely had a little bit of a drought in what was that? Late June, early July, maybe, and then we had a deluge this past few days or the past few weeks, I guess you could say. And so the new leaf there, you can show that there's a nice, healthy new leaf going. So part of living in Florida and not knowing when the rain's going to come is sometimes you kind of have to deal with a little bit of drought at a time. So you brought that from the old property.
And it was really small, and actually everybody kept telling me that liqualas are hard to move, and especially the small ones. And I decided to move it anyway. It was tiny, like the biggest leaf was this big. It was probably about 1 gallon size at the time it was in the ground. I dug it out, and I actually tripped and fell as I was taking it out of the ground, and one of the roots ripped. So I figured, there's no way it's gonna live, and I put it here, and it lives. It's been here for 2.5 years now.
Yeah, surprisingly, the thing about Liquala is that it's a coryphoid palm, so it's related to Corypha, Sable, Copernicia, and Livistona, and some of these palms don't transplant very well, and some are really easy to transplant. So Liquala is one of those palms where it doesn't get transplanted enough to really know if if it's going to do well or not. So on a little side note, just to let people know that do watch this channel how much I do like Liqualas, let me just show you guys something real quick. So that's my license plate right there. So that shows you how much I actually do enjoy Liqualas. These are my favorite genus, so seeing them in yards is really great. And yeah, we can move over to this part of the yard here where there's some amazing looking plants that you don't see planted in the ground very often. So
this is Certostachys renda. It's been in the ground for 2 years. I planted as a 3 gallon, so now it's about 5 feet tall, and I do protect it in the winter. I have a portable greenhouse that I put over it, and anytime temperature, there's about a 3-degree difference between the greenhouse. I keep the temperature meter in there. So anytime temperature outside drops below 46, 47 degrees, I also give it supplemental heat.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's really essential to kind of growing a Certostachys or lipstick palm in this area of Florida, and pretty much every area of Florida outside of the Keys, is that you're going to need some supplemental heat. And you can see the red is starting to show, especially on one of this size, where you really start getting after a 1 gallon. This is about a 7 to 10 gallon size if it were in a pot. So, but yeah, they really don't like it below 40 at all, even at this size, and 45 is kind of where people will make sure it's nicely protected. Yeah, sometimes 50 degrees just because of its ultra tropical nature. It's definitely a zone 11 palm. So
and it's also, it's a little bit of a protected location. mention, because this is southern exposure.
Right.
So you can see it's protected from the north and a little bit from the side. So you know that helps the temperature. It's always 1 or 2 degrees higher than everywhere else.
Yeah, and it's something that I would note to viewers is that on the south side of your house, you should always put your most tender or tropical palms or other plants, because you will get buffer from the north winds when they come through, and it'll stay not only a little bit, maybe it won't transpire moisture as much, but will also keep it a little bit warmer. So that's why. Well, not only is this right in the front yard, but this is also probably the warmest spot in the actual soil. So, but yeah, you know, we can see transformation of the Kentiopsis real quick. You know, there's this is how it works in Florida. Sometimes you have some heavy growth years, and sometimes you can see how these rings are still. Alex and I were discussing this, how in California these green rings will stay here longer, which is something that I actually didn't know, because I don't see these in California. Haven't been there in a long time. So, and they'll eventually turn to gray here, and the newest, you can see, this is a nice leathery, bulbous crown shaft, and I'll try and do a separate vlog on that. And there's actually you have a peduncular bract, a seed bract in there, ready to go, right there. So, the first, have you had a bract come out? Oh, so that will,
This will be the first.
yeah, that should be one there. So we'll see what happens with that, but show us, this guy here.
So this is, you can maybe get a better picture.
Yeah, I'm gonna come around here and.
So this is Areca macrocalyx,
Yeah.
the red crown shaft form. So this has been in the ground for, it's a newcomer for about 3 months.
Okay.
And this is a this was a common leaf.
Okay.
When it planted in the ground. So this opened up fully, and then 2 more leaves I got in the last 3 months, which is pretty good for a palm that I just planted. And,
Yeah.
It doesn't have a lot of color yet, but what I think is remarkable about this is I got this from Floribunda. So it was, basically it was grown in shade, and I decided to put it right in full sun immediately.
And
it
did pretty well.
It did pretty well. It never. I mean, you can see some damage from sun, but
yeah, it's. I mean, it went through the shock treatment, but yeah, these for those. I was going to give a little explanation. Areca macrocalyx has a red crown shaft, much like Cerastachys, the lipstick palm, but it doesn't show it till a little bit later, and it stays solitary. It's very fast growing though, and a little bit it's about as cold sensitive. It's a little bit more cold hardy than the lipstick, but not. It's not as that sensitive. It's probably, I would say, it could take upper 30s, mid 30s for a while, but I haven't grown one in a while. I used to grow a number of them in the greenhouse, so. But you're a braver man than I. I've become jaded to the cold a little bit too much, but yeah,
So yeah, I just want to mention, these 3 Kentiopsis, the 2 of them you see, so I got them from Ken Johnson.
Yeah, and we'll meet. I'll show you guys some videos and pictures of Ken. Ken Johnson is a big plant grower, and he's more of a plant transporter, and from one yard to another. And you can see every time when you get a plant usually transported, it'll be in like a root ball, and there's a point in which you can see that it will go through a little bit of shock when it transplants, but then it grows kind of out of that. So yeah,
you can see the rings kind of got smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
As it, I guess the crown shaft started here, I believe, when I got it.
Okay, when you got it right there, yeah.
So it's been, I got it in October of 14, so 2 months shy of 3 years.
Oh wow, that's a lot of growth especially for the shock.
Yeah, I think it was giving me like about 5 leaves a year on average.
Yeah.
Well, now that it's established, it was a little slower at first. So you can see they get narrower and narrower and narrower, and then finally they kind of
they're widening up again. And one thing that actually is the downside to trying to grow plants more faster than they really should grow naturally is that they will get stretched out, and they will spread out their trunk a little bit. And you can actually cause some. I mean, you can see the flaring roots at the bottom. I love the color of those roots. You know, almost like an orangish red, especially when they're wet. and that's a sign of a really healthy plant. But when people try and grow palms too much, you actually see in a lot of foxtails, the trunks will break, they'll snap because it's just they weren't meant to be that big. Genetically, they just they weren't meant to grow like that. So, so show us this amazing Amazonian.
This is something that I tried in my previous yard, and that plant is still there. It's a Mauritius armata, and I had really good success with it. You know, technically everybody was telling me that it's not supposed to grow here, but it did very well. It was growing in full sun in my previous yard. It still grows there. It's
right.
About 5 years unprotected in winters. So
and that's a pretty good showing of you know, of a palm being hardy to an area, given you know some real, I mean, not saying that, you know, besides 20-year freezes and whatnot. So, but yeah.
It's I mean, this particular palm, I don't think any of the two palms, either there or here, have ever been exposed to sub-freezing temperatures. I mean, we just haven't had freezes since 2010 in this neighborhood.
Right.
So I don't know how that would fare, but you know, this has been exposed to 32, 33 degrees.
Does it burn at that temperature? Does it show any signs of stress?
It does not burn, but you do see you know, leaves that come out a little smaller.
Yeah. Okay.
Happen. And actually it gets more stressed by, let's say, 5 days straight of sub 68 temperatures.
Right. Because
5 days of 65 on the high side. And
okay.
Even if you have like 40 on the low side, that would stress it out more than an occasional drop in.
Yeah, that would make sense because these are native to the Amazonian region where they do grow in seasonally flooded areas, and they actually like a lot of water. And you know, this side kind of had some really cool roots kind of coming out, and it kind of comes out as a multi-clumper, but this whitish color is just amazing. We've had a lot of rain lately, and there's usually even more on it, or more so, but it's still, this underside you can kind of see, it's just this whitish silver tomentum, and it's really nice looking plant, and it's quite hardy considering, and we're sitting here in full sun, that, you know, we'd have issues with drought, and obviously it shows some stress from that, but that's part of growing in Florida. We're not in Hawaii, we're not on the wet side of the big island, so we're going to have to deal with those sorts of things.
I removed, you know, when we had that drought, it was an exceptional drought.
Yeah.
I was watering this, but it wasn't enough, and you can see here that I just removed the dried up leaflets.
Right.
Preserve some of the green for the plant to recover, and this is actually like this weird looking deformed leaf.
Yeah.
This is actually very typical of the very first leaf that comes out of a new growth point. You can see it here, you can see it here. So
yeah, it's interesting that when they do that. A number of clumpers do that, and you're right. They come out stunted, or not stunted, but they come out deformed, and it really is kind of like they're all jumbled up in there, and they kind of just push out whatever size they look like. So, and then yeah, so this is it's definitely a water lover. That is doing really well here, and especially with the recent rains we've had here, we've had a lot of flooding. So, but and what you're standing next to there, the old man palm. Where'd you get this plant?
I actually got it at the big box store.
Yeah, you can now get these at Home Depot. I
got it at Lowe's.
Oh, Lowe's. Okay, so they were at both places. I only saw it at Home Depot, so I wasn't sure, but I know that, you know, you can get a 7, or I think it's a 7-gallon.
Yeah, I got it as a 7-gallon about a year and a half ago, and it was
yeah.
expensive at all.
Yeah, how much was it? Was it like 70?
Oh, it wasn't even that.
Oh, really?
I think it was like in a 30-35 range.
Wow.
Something like that.
Yeah, because I remember, you know, these used to be. There was a time when these plants would go for $100 per foot of trunk. So this plant having about 1.5 foot of trunk would be $150, but it would really, these would probably be $200 plants. I know I've spent almost $200 on a plant this size around 2005, and now, but they're very neat palms because they have. I haven't done a vlog on this species, but if you get down underneath here and see they call it the old man palm because it has this long hairs around the trunk, and it's definitely starting to show all those features there. It's a Cocothrinax crinita, and it's native to Cuba.
And you can see like the new patch of hair coming out. With,
Oh yeah, yeah.
with
That's
every new leaf. Sometimes like when the palm's big, you can really see that level of detail.
yeah, and that's really nice. And then there's a number of Coco Thrynax that have some very distinct fibrous hairs that really show what species they are. And a lot of the the collectible Cuban Coco Thrynax have real thick fiber. This is thinner fiber, but it's so there's so much of it that it definitely stands out as the old man of the genus. So you have it.
And I forgot to mention one thing with the Mauritiella. It went in the ground as a 1 gallon.
Okay. So they're very fast
2
growers.
years and 2 months ago. Right?
Yeah, so they're really fast growing, and you can see a lot of these when he talks about the deformities. You have it here. You have. It looks like you might. Well, you have.
That's drought.
That's drought there. Okay, so there's 1, 2, and there might be a couple in the back. There's one back there that's small. I think that's a deformity as well. But
usually when you get new.
Yeah, and that's pretty. Like, and you obviously know this, and it's pretty common of clumping palms when they put out a new offshoot. They will tend to have kind of a deformed look, and don't be alarmed when you see that. That's perfectly normal. It's kind of really unknown why it happens, except for it's probably stuck between a bunch of other roots and plants, and it just pushed its way out whatever way it could, and so once it gets out there, it can grow properly. So,
and you can see it's still recovering from the stress of the drought. So this is how it reacts to stress. You can see like this leaf, which is leaflets are probably 2.5 feet long, and that leaf is the same way. But you can see the new leaves that came out after the drought.
Yeah, that's like a perfect.
They're like 2.5.
Yeah.
Maybe like 2 feet here. So they'll recover to the original size, but that's how this particular palm reacts to stress. It basically
That's gonna get it.
The leaves get smaller, and then they recover to the original size.
Yeah, and that's usually it definitely happens with more tropical palms, and will happen with most palms where you get like a small leaf at first. Don't be again. That's typical of recovery from cold or drought. But this one here, I was gonna get the outline, and the reason they call it Armada is you can see the leaflets have those spines there right on the edge of the right on both edges of the leaflets and on the front, and it really, even though it has arming on it, it really is kind of harmless.
And so you can see also here, this is kind of typical of calamoid palms. When it's still a spear, you can still see the spines.
Yeah,
and they actually make like this nice ornamental.
And calamoid palms are something that I would like to get into once I can find more. You're definitely a grower of them, but they're rattan palms. They're usually thinner, spiny climbing palms that there's a ton of species. There just not many are grown for cultivation because they tend to be less visually pleasing. So that you won't see them at a big box store or really at a lot of nurseries. But for us hardcore palm collectors, we really we like to try and grow everything. See what can grow, what can't grow, because some of them can be very rewarding. It's just they're going to be spiny. There's some spineless ones, but there's not many of them. I haven't really come across any. But anyway, I'll go ahead and leave that there. This has been the front yard. It looks great, and definitely stands out when you look at other yards and you see a royal or a queen or a foxtail, which is they look beautiful, but you can. The one thing I can always say about a palm collector's yard is when I'm going to meet, especially when I'm going to meet someone new, they say, hey, come here, this is the address. A lot of times I don't even look for the address. I look for the last block, and then I know when I see all the plants, I know I've arrived at the right house. So thank you so much, Alex, for showing us the front yard, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it in the video. And if you guys have any questions, just leave some comments down below, and if you're new, go ahead and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.